Welcome to Pulse on Productivity. You shared some really compelling reasons why customer relationship management, or CRM, often doesn't quite live up to its promise, especially in growing companies. Today, we're diving deep into those sticking points, really trying to pull out what you need to know to make CRM actually work.
That's right. And your observations, they really echo some pretty stark statistics out there.
Yeah.
We're seeing reports like that one from Harvard Business Review you mentioned, suggesting a large chunk of CRM projects. I mean, sometimes they say as high as 90% just fail to drive growth.
90%.
Yeah, it's high. And the recurring theme across the material, the thing that keeps popping up, is the human factor. That seems to be the core reason.
Human factor. Okay.
And that's what we'll be focusing on unpacking today.
Exactly. So we'll be looking closely at that YouTube series, Failed CRM Reasons, Why CRM Implementations Fail, parts 2 through 6 specifically.
Right.
And also pulling insights from the HBR article, Why CRM Projects Fail and How to Make Them More Successful.
Good sources.
We're going to dissect the big issues. Poor user adoption, not enough training, lack of integration, problems choosing the right vendor, and those tricky customization challenges.
All critical pieces.
Think of this as your personal strategy session, really, to navigate the CRM landscape and hopefully build a system that genuinely boosts productivity and, delivers results.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Let's start with that first one. Why getting your team to actually use the CRM is so critical. User adoption.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your sources nail it. If the team isn't consistently using the CRM, it becomes, and I think they said, totally useless.
Totally useless. Strong words.
Yeah, but accurate. It stops being that reliable source of truth you need. If usage is just sporadic, here and there,
then the data is incomplete.
Exactly. You end up with an incomplete picture. Any reports or insights you try to pull, you just can't trust them for making real decisions. It's like trying to navigate with half a map.
Makes sense. The YouTube series really hammered home the role of management in this, making CRM usage stick. They had these contrasting examples, teams showing up, ready, engaged for training,
Right.
versus teams where people hadn't even logged in yet. It felt like a predictor of success or failure right there.
It really is. That direct correlation between how seriously management takes it and how the team follows, it's huge.
So if leaders aren't using it or visibly prioritizing it,
It sends a message, a powerful one, that this CRM thing, it's not really essential. And that lack of clear expectation just opens the door for inconsistent use and ultimately failure.
there was that blunt concept they introduced, no half pregnant.
Huh? Yeah, I remember that.
The message was pretty clear. Either you commit fully, everyone uses it all the time, or maybe don't bother, because partial adoption just gives you bad results.
Sounds tough.
It does sound tough, but it makes a lot of sense when you break it down. Think about it.
Yeah.
If only some customer interactions are logged in the CRM, but others are stuck in individual email inboxes, or maybe on some random spreadsheet.
You still got silos. Exactly. You've basically recreated data silos inside your central system.
Yeah.
It defeats the whole purpose of having that single, unified view of the customer.
So a clear yes or no on full adoption is better than that messy in between.
Often, yes.
Ah,
Much better than unreliable data.
which brings us neatly to that old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Always true.
Your sources highlighted how poorly designed systems, maybe with too many mandatory fields that aren't needed yet,
Right, like asking for info way too early.
can actually lead to a flood of bad data. People just entering junk 1111111 for phone, nay@nene.com for email.
Oh, yeah. Just to get past the field. It's a critical point. If the CRM design forces users to input stuff they don't have or isn't relevant right then,
It's frustrating for them.
totally frustrating.
Yeah.
And it actively encourages workarounds, and often those involve fake data. That appliance repair lead example in the video, perfect.
Where they ask for a mobile number right away.
Yeah, on a casual first inquiry.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. You're guaranteed to get placeholder junk. And what's the real cost of that bad data later on? Wasted time, flawed analysis.
Huge hidden costs. Then there's just plain old resistance to change. That's always a hurdle, isn't it?
Always. People get comfortable.
The sources pointed to involving the team in the design right from the get-go, making it, quote, their baby.
Yes. That came up as a key way to lower resistance.
It feels like a really smart, human-centered approach. Empower the team, make them co-creators.
It's profoundly effective. When people feel that sense of ownership,
They're more bought in.
naturally, much more inclined to embrace it, use it properly, if it feels like something just imposed from above, rather than a tool to actually help them. Resistance is almost guaranteed.
So bringing them in early lets them voice their needs, shape it to fit their actual workflows.
Exactly, which makes adoption smoother.
Another challenge mentioned was limited visibility. If management can't see the whole picture, and the team members also can't see all the interactions with a client in one place, that seems problematic.
Oh, it really is. It hinders informed communication. You can even damage client relationships without meaning to.
Like trying to see the full picture through a keyhole.
Exactly. A good, well-integrated CRM should be that single pane of glass, that 360-degree view.
So emails, support tickets, meeting notes, calls, everything.
Everything related to that customer, all centralized. Without that, your sales team might call someone who just had a bad support experience.
Awkward.
Or customer service lacks context from sales. And management, they can't get an accurate pulse on the relationship's health.
And finally, under this adoption umbrella, decreased productivity, which feels counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? A system meant to boost efficiency actually bogging things down.
How does that happen?
Well, if employees just don't know how to use it efficiently, something simple like the example of not knowing how to find their last 15 records quickly.
They end up doing manual searches.
Exactly. Time-consuming manual workarounds for tasks the system should streamline. They fall back on familiar but slower methods.
So the CRM becomes an obstacle, not a help.
In that scenario, yes. Which leads us directly to the next big pitfall, insufficient training.
Right. If people don't know how to use it, your sources emphasize that users get frustrated. They feel, quote, stupid.
Yeah, and nobody wants to feel that way at work.
And that feeling can quickly lead them to just abandon the new system, go back to their old spreadsheets or whatever.
Precisely. That feeling creates this negative association with the CRM, makes them even more resistant. They'll actively look for ways around it, stick with what's comfy, even if it's less effective for the business.
Undermines the whole investment.
Completely.
That anecdote from the YouTube series really stuck with me. The sophisticated proposal system.
Oh yeah, the pipeline
It's
round.
completely bypassed because users didn't get like 2 minutes of training on selecting the right pipeline.
It's eye-opening, isn't it? Shows how even a tiny knowledge gap can make a powerful feature totally useless.
All that potential just sitting there.
It's a perfect illustration. That targeted just-in-time training is often way more impactful than some generic hours-long session. The system could have streamlined a key process, but without that tiny bit of specific instruction, users were clueless.
So a feature-rich CRM is only as good as the team's ability to use those features.
Bingo.
Consistent training seems to be the answer then. Your sources mentioned maybe weekly or bi-weekly sessions.
Yeah, ongoing reinforcement.
Let's internal monitoring of usage to see who's actually doing what.
Right. It's not a one-and-done thing at launch. Think of CRM training as this continuous process of enablement.
Keeps the initial learnings fresh.
Exactly. And introduces new features, shares best practices as they emerge. Plus, it gives users a regular place to ask questions, tackle challenges they're facing day to day.
And the monitoring helps spot who needs extra help.
Precisely. You can identify individuals or teams lagging behind and offer targeted support. Ensures the training actually translates into real effective use.
Okay, so data entry errors. We talked about them being caused by bad design, but lack of training makes them worse too.
Oh, significantly worse. If users don't really get the purpose of the CRM, why certain fields matter.
They make mistakes, duplicates, wrong fields.
All the time. That suggestion of using blueprints or guided entry, that seems really practical.
Tell me more about blueprints.
Well, they basically provide a structured path. They walk users through the right steps for entering specific data types, prompting them with the right fields at the right time, giving clear guidance.
Reduces the guesswork.
Hugely. It cuts down on errors, omissions, improves data quality overall, and reinforces best practices and user understanding.
Then there's underutilization, just not using all the cool features the CRM can do.
Very common when training is lacking. It's like buying a fancy Swiss Army knife and only ever using the main blade.
Huh. Good analogy. You're missing out on all the other tools.
Exactly. Modern CRMs are packed with stuff: automation, communication tools, customer insights, sales performance tracking.
But if people aren't trained on how to use them,
They'll inevitably just scratch the surface. They miss out on the very benefits that justified buying the thing in the first place. Big waste of investment.
inefficient work habits can also creep in, right? If users don't know the quickest ways to do things in the CRM.
Absolutely. Leads to wasted time, more frustration. It really highlights that training needs to be practical, not just what it does, but how to use it optimally for their specific job.
Tailored to roles, sales reps versus service agents.
Definitely. Show sales the best lead management workflow. Show service how to quickly pull up a full customer history. Teach the shortcuts, the automation triggers, how different parts work together. That boosts individual productivity and cuts errors.
And all this lack of knowledge leads to low user confidence.
It's a direct result. If employees aren't confident navigating the CRM, using features correctly,
They play it safe, stick to the basics.
exactly, they stick to a very limited, maybe even incorrect way of using it. Or worse, they avoid trying new things altogether because they're afraid of messing up.
Fear of making mistakes creates a real barrier.
It's a powerful inhibitor. They won't input critical data if they're scared of doing it wrong, which then undermines the whole system's reliability.
And who gets bogged down when users don't know things? The poor CRM admin.
Yep. Flooded with basic how-to questions.
Which pulls them away from more strategic stuff. Optimization, advanced configuration.
Totally. Proactive, thorough training significantly reduces that burden. Frees up the admin to focus on higher impact work that moves the business forward, keeps the CRM evolving.
It's that classic case of investing upfront saves time and money later.
Couldn't agree more.
So the bottom line for training is skip it or skimp on it, and you kill your ROI.
Pretty much. You end up with decreased productivity, frustration, maybe even chaos, instead of the streamlined processes and better relationships you hoped for.
It's fundamental, not optional.
Absolutely fundamental. Yeah. Which leads us nicely into another critical area impacting success, lack of integration.
Ah, yes, systems not talking to each other. Major source of pain.
Huge pain point.
When systems like CRM and, say, accounting are separate, you get those data silos, inaccuracies, duplicated effort.
The example of different customer records in each system, classic problem.
Leads to billing errors, mismatched info.
Easily. Inconsistent customer details, different payment histories, order mismatches. You get billing mistakes, duplicated emails, just a fragmented, unreliable view of the customer's financial relationship.
That's where things like integrated ecosystems like Zoho One or Open APIs come in.
Exactly. They highlight the massive value of having a unified, connected tech stack. Open APIs act like universal translators, letting different software systems share info easily.
Makes sense. And without that connection, you get inefficient workflows.
Big time. Processes that should be automated across platforms.
Like an e-commerce sale automatically creating a CRM deal.
Perfect example. If that has to be done manually, it's a huge time suck and a massive risk for human error. Automation across systems is absolutely key.
Frees up the team for more important things.
Right. When a website sale automatically pops up in the CRM, the sales team sees it instantly. No delay, no manual entry. They can focus on nurturing leads, building relationships, not data entry.
Lack of integration also hurts customer insights, doesn't it? Especially between CRM and, say, email marketing.
Definitely. If those aren't connected, sales teams are flying blind.
How so?
They might have no idea which marketing campaigns a lead interacted with, which emails they opened or clicked, what content they downloaded.
Makes it hard to personalize conversations.
Incredibly hard. You can't have meaningful, relevant conversations if you lack that context about their specific interests and needs. You need that unified view across all touch points for effective sales and marketing.
And reporting suffers too, right? Limited analytics.
Great consequence. Try generating accurate, holistic reports on things like project profitability or customer lifetime value when the data is scattered everywhere. Pretty much impossible. Meaningful business intelligence needs combined data from across the organization, CRM, project management, accounting. If they're all in silos, you can't get a true picture of performance. Integrated systems are the foundation for robust reporting.
Inconsistent communication is another risk if the CRM doesn't show everything.
Team members step on each other's toes.
Yeah, unaware of recent calls, unresolved issues.
Yeah.
Leading to awkward or even damaging interaction.
It's so easy for that to happen. Imagine support working hard on an issue, and then sales calls the same frustrated customer with a pitch, totally unaware.
Ouch. Damages trust.
Severely. It erodes trust, damages your reputation. A well-integrated CRM acts like that central nervous system, ensuring everyone interacting with the customer has the latest relevant info.
So the overarching problem is just reduced efficiency.
That sums it up. Forcing teams to manually move data, constantly reconcile different systems.
Yeah.
It wastes time and invites errors.
Defeats the purpose of having the systems in the first place. They should make things easier.
Exactly. The goal is efficiency, streamlining, productivity.
Yeah.
When systems don't integrate, they often create more work, more errors, and hinder the very outcomes you wanted.
So integration isn't just nice to have anymore.
Nope. In today's connected world, it's an absolute necessity for optimization, insights, and hitting those strategic goals. Which, naturally, brings us to choosing the right partner to help you build this integrated system. Vendor selection.
Absolutely pivotal decision choosing that vendor. Your sources stress that alignment with your organization's needs, your culture is job one, isn't it?
It really is foundational.
Making sure you and the vendor have compatible working styles, communication, expectations. It's about the partnership,
Yeah.
like the kind amazing business results fosters focusing on that fit.
It's crucial. A CRM implementation is a big deal. It needs close collaboration, open communication, shared goals. If there's a mismatch in styles, project methods, even core values,
Friction, misunderstandings.
guaranteed, it can jeopardize the whole project. The fact that mature vendors, like ABR you mentioned, might even pass on a client if the fit isn't right. That tells you how critical that alignment is for success.
Good point. Then there's scalability. The vendor solutions need to grow with you, right?
And they need to understand your future growth plans.
You don't want to invest in something you'll outgrow quickly or need a massive, costly overhaul for later.
Exactly. Planning for the future from day one is essential for a sustainable solution. Your CRM is a strategic investment. It needs to evolve with your business.
So the vendor needs to show they get your long-term goals and offer solutions that can handle more data, more users, new processes down the road.
Without requiring disruptive, expensive rebuilds. Thinking ahead during vendor selection is key for long-term ROI. That example about assigning leads to a group instead of one person. That's smart scalability thinking.
And given our integration discussion, their integration capabilities are obviously huge.
Paramount.
And you need to check they have strong in-house expertise, not just farming it out to third parties.
Relying on lots of third parties for critical integrations adds complexity, potential failure points, more dependencies. It can get messy.
Makes troubleshooting harder.
Considerably harder. A vendor like Amazing Business Results, with proven in-house integration skills, generally offers a smoother, more reliable, and often more cost-effective solution long-term. Plus, you have one point of contact.
User friendliness. Back to adoption again. The system itself has to be relatively easy to use.
Or adoption struggles.
So vendors need to give clear, understandable demos. Ideally in a realistic demo environment, not using live client data.
Definitely not live client data. That's a huge red flag on security and privacy practices. But yes, getting hands-on is invaluable.
A clean interface increases adoption likelihood, minimizes training needs.
Significantly. Vendors who can clearly show ease of use in realistic scenarios, like experienced partners do, inspire more confidence that your team will actually embrace the system.
Okay, cost. Total cost of ownership, TCO. It's more than just the initial price tag.
Way more.
You need the full picture. Licenses, maintenance, additions, upgrades, training, all the ongoing stuff.
Transparency is key here. You need a clear breakdown upfront to avoid nasty budget surprises later. Hidden costs kill ROI. A reputable vendor is upfront about all potential expenses over the system's lifecycle.
Data security and privacy, you said it non-negotiable now?
Absolutely non-negotiable.
You have to be 100% confident the vendor has robust protocols, solid policies to protect sensitive customer data.
Breaches are devastating.
And vendors relying on shaky third-party developers, that's a massive risk.
Unacceptable risk. In today's regulatory world, you need top-notch safeguards. Understand their security policies, data handling, check if they use external developers for critical parts. A trusted partner like ABR, prioritizing security, mitigates these risks.
Support and training programs are also critical for long-term success.
Can't succeed without them.
Need to look at the types of training, online, in person, the support process, and their overall philosophy. Are they empowering you or keeping you dependent?
That's a great point. A good vendor does more than implement. They equip your team with knowledge, resources to use the system effectively, troubleshoot common issues, learn continuously.
So you're not calling them for every little thing.
Exactly. Understand their training methods, support channels, commitment to client self-sufficiency. That builds a better long-term partnership. They should want you to be proficient.
Customization experience. Most businesses need some tailoring, right?
Almost always. Specific workflows, unique requirements.
So the vendor needs to prove they can handle the customizations you need through relevant demos.
Seeing is believing here. Every business is unique. A vendor with a proven track record in customization can tailor the CRM to your needs, not force you into their box. See concrete examples, discuss your specifics, ensure they have the right expertise.
And ultimately, it's about building a long-term relationship.
A strategic partner.
Someone who gets your goals, acts as a trusted advisor, not just a software seller. That seems more beneficial than constantly switching vendors. Again, thinking of partners like Amazing Business Results, known for that approach.
Absolutely. CRM isn't one and done. It's a journey of optimization. A long-term partner who understands you, anticipates needs, provides ongoing guidance. That's invaluable.
Yeah.
Leads to better collaboration, maximizes value, ensures long-term success.
Which brings us to the customization process itself and its own set of challenges.
Right. Even with the right vendor, customization can be tricky.
It's that balancing act, isn't it? Simplicity versus complexity.
Very common tension.
Management wants all the bells and whistles, maybe, but the frontline employees just want something easy to use day to day.
Exactly. Overly complex systems overwhelm users, kill adoption. Too simple, and it doesn't meet business needs.
The sources recommended a phased approach. Start basic, add features gradually based on feedback.
It's a lot of sense. Let users adapt to the core system first. Gather real feedback, then iteratively refine and add complexity where it's truly needed.
Yeah.
Start foundational, add strategically. More sustainable.
Clarity of requirements, absolutely essential before starting customization.
Cannot stress this enough. You need blueprints.
Like that 13-page document example, or the Lucid chart. Detailed stuff, ensuring everyone's on the same page, client and developer.
No room for vague ideas or just hoping it turns out right. That's a recipe for disaster. Clear, unambiguous documentation outlining functionality, workflows, data needs. It sets expectations, aligns effort.
Avoids rework, delays, and a system that misses the mark.
Precisely. Ambiguity is the enemy here.
And thorough vendor evaluation, again, but specifically for the type of customization needed.
Yes. Like we said, not all vendors excel at everything. Basic configuration is different from complex API work or deep system architecture changes.
So you need to verify they have the specific skills, maybe like the Zoho expertise ABR brings.
Exactly. Don't assume standard implementation skill equals complex customization skill. Assess their specific technical chops, their track record on similar projects. Ask for relevant demos and case studies addressing your technical needs.
Prototyping and testing in smaller milestones sounds smart too.
Incredibly beneficial. Break it down.
Helps catch issues early, builds trust, avoids those long waits where you see nothing until the end.
All of the above. Iterative development with working prototypes allows for continuous feedback, ongoing validation. Much easier to spot and fix misalignments early. Reduces risk dramatically. Fosters better communication, builds confidence, ensures the final system meets evolving needs.
Budget and timeline management. Gotta keep scope creep in check.
The bane of many projects.
Requirements expanding, costs ballooning, deadlines slipping, needs discipline from both sides.
Absolutely. Scope creep is common, drives overruns and delays. You need clear milestones, specific deliverables, realistic timelines, and a robust process for managing change requests.
So thorough planning, consistent communication, disciplined change management are key.
Non-negotiable for successful customization.
And active user involvement throughout the whole process.
Vital. The developers need constant feedback from the end users.
To make sure it meets their needs, fits their workflows, actually makes their job easier.
Exactly. Customizations are for the users. Their input in design, development testing is essential. Regular feedback loops, frequent demos, user testing opportunities, allow for adjustments, lead to better outcomes, higher adoption.
Documentation and knowledge transfer, making sure the client's team can actually run the thing afterwards.
So important for long-term sustainability. Not just user guides, but technical docs too.
Training sessions, videos, written manuals. So the client isn't totally reliant on the vendor forever.
Right. Empowering the client team is crucial. Robust documentation explaining how it works, plus effective training, reduces ongoing vendor dependency, allows the internal team to manage and maintain the system effectively.
And finally, scalability again, but within the customizations themselves.
Good point. Custom features need to be built flexibly.
So they can handle future growth, more data, changing needs, without needing a total rebuild of the custom parts.
Precisely. Think ahead. Build adaptable solutions. That example of assigning leads to a group, not one person. That's designing for scalability right within the customization. It's a hallmark of well-architected, sustainable systems.
Wow. We've really covered a lot of ground today on why CRM efforts can stumble.
We certainly have. Lots of potential pitfalls.
But just to recap that core message from everything we discussed and what your sources showed, it really comes down to prioritizing the people, the human element. Having crystal clear objectives from the start, doing the upfront planning, and critically picking the right partners, like amazing business results, bringing that deep Zoho expertise, those seem paramount for success.
Absolutely. Get those pieces right, and your chances improve dramatically. Now, think about all these insights. Apply them to your specific business context and those sources you provided. What stands out to you? What feels like the most critical area you need to focus on in your CRM strategy right now or going forward?
That's a good question for our listeners to ponder. And as you consider or refine your strategy, just remember, a well-planned, thoughtfully implemented CRM built with all these factors in mind, it really can be a powerful engine.
It absolutely can, for productivity, for relationships, for growth, helping achieve, well, amazing business results.
Nicely put.
So here's that final thought to leave everyone with. We know the human factor is often blamed for high failure rates. So how can you proactively build a culture within your organization that genuinely embraces CRM adoption? One focused on continuous learning, enthusiastic engagement, turning that potential resistance into a real driver of success.
That's a great question to chew on. How do you foster that positive culture?
Something worth exploring as you move forward. Thanks for joining us for this exploration of CRM on Pulse on Productivity.